You get invited to an event. It can be a gathering, a party, or social event. And instead of feeling excited, something in you quietly resists it because the idea of spending several hours in a room full of chatter and surface-level interaction genuinely exhausts you before it even begins. And when you finally do get an evening alone, something settles inside your heart. The internal noise quiets down. You feel more like yourself in those hours than you do in most social situations. More present, alive, and at home. If that resonates with you, this video is going to explain exactly what is happening inside you and why. Part 1. The psychological traits of solitude seekers. People who seek solitude are not all the same, but they share a remarkably consistent set of psychological characteristics. The first is a high degree of internal richness. Solitude seekers tend to have an unusually active and complex inner world. Thoughts, ideas, feelings, and observations are constantly being processed internally in their heads. This means the outside world, particularly loud and stimulating social environments, adds to an internal landscape that is already full rather than enriching it. Solitude is where that internal processing can happen without any outer interference. The second is a low tolerance for superficiality. People who seek solitude tend to find shallow interaction genuinely draining in a way that goes beyond simple introversion. It is not that they dislike people, or at least in most cases. It is that interactions without genuine depth or honesty feel like an act they are being asked to participate in. And sustaining that performance over extended periods costs them something from their souls. The third is a strong and developed relationship with their own company. Most people find extended time alone uncomfortable because they have never genuinely learned to be with themselves. The solitude seeker has done that work, consciously or unconsciously, and discovered that their own company is genuinely satisfying in a way that requires no external validation to sustain. Part 2. Why society misreads them. Society is built around the assumption that connection is social and that social means collective. The default cultural narrative is that more interactions with others equals more health, more happiness, and more belonging. And anyone who consistently steps back from that narrative gets read as damaged, antisocial, depressed, or difficult to connect with. This misreading causes real harm to solitude seekers. Because from a very young age, they receive the message that their natural way of being is a problem to be fixed. They get pushed into social situations that drain them and told that the discomfort they feel is something they need to overcome rather than something they need to honor. They learn to perform extroversion as a survival mechanism while quietly suffocating inside it. The reality is that solitude seeking is a legitimate and psychologically healthy way of being in the world. Every major philosophical and spiritual tradition produced its most significant insights through periods of deliberate solitude. The capacity to be genuinely alone with oneself, without anxiety or compulsive distraction, is one of the rarest and most valuable psychological capacities a human being can develop. Part 3. Loneliness and solitude are not the same thing. This distinction is one of the most important things a solitude seeker can internalize about themselves. Loneliness is the painful experience of feeling disconnected from others against your will. It is an absence that hurts, a craving for connection that is not being met. Loneliness is something that happens to a person regardless of whether they are alone or surrounded by people. Chosen solitude is something completely different. It is the deliberate creation of space for oneself. a conscious decision to step back from the external world in order to be more fully present with the internal one. It is not driven by an absence of connection, but by a genuine preference for a particular quality of experience that solitude makes possible. The confusion between these two states is what causes most of the misunderstanding around solitude seekers. When someone who does not understand chosen solitude sees a person alone, they project loneliness onto them. They assume the aloneness is involuntary and therefore painful. And the solitude seeker, who is often deeply content in that moment, finds themselves having to defend or explain an experience that requires no defense or explanation at all. Loneliness is a wound. Solitude is a room you built for yourself and choose to enter by choice. Part 4. How solitude seekers relate to themselves differently. The most defining characteristic of a genuine solitude seeker is the quality of their relationship with themselves. Most people relate to themselves primarily through the reflection of others. They understand who they are through how others respond to them. They regulate their emotional state through social interaction. They process their experiences by externalizing them through conversation. Their internal world is largely shaped and maintained by the external one. The solitude seeker has developed a fundamentally different internal structure. They have a direct and ongoing relationship with their own inner world that does not require external input to sustain itself. They process experience internally before externalizing it, if they externalize it at all. Their sense of who they are comes from somewhere inside, rather than from the continuous feedback loop of social interaction. This produces a particular quality of self-knowledge that is genuinely rare. Because the person who spends real time alone with themselves, honestly and without distraction, eventually has to face everything that is actually there: the unresolved patterns, the honest desires, the fears that social pressure usually drowns out. And facing all of that builds a quality of self-understanding that most people, surrounded by constant social stimulation, never develop. The solitude seeker knows themselves in a way that most people do not, and that self-knowledge, as uncomfortable as it sometimes is to arrive at, becomes the most stable foundation a person can build their life on. Closing. Solitude is not a personality flaw or a symptom of damage or disconnection. It is a deeply personal psychological reality that, when understood and honored, becomes one of the most powerful tools a human being has for genuine self-development. The challenge for you is this: the next time you feel the pull towards solitude and the simultaneous pressure from the world around you to override it, stop. Ask yourself honestly whether you are stepping back from the world because you need to, or whether you are using solitude as a way to avoid something that actually needs to be faced. Because chosen solitude and avoidance can look identical from the outside. Only you know which one it actually is.